Welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. The show where each week a panel of respected marketing strategists, all trained and certified by the legendary Dan Kennedy, share their wisdom, experience, strategies, and insights on how to use Dan Kennedy's philosophy on business and marketing in any type of business, and that you can apply to your business immediately. Here's your host, Craig Valine.
Hey everybody, it's Craig Valine, and welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. Today I have my expert panel of Dan Kennedy experts, certified independent business advisors, and brilliant entrepreneurs in their own right. Today we're going to talk a little bit about email marketing. And, you know, the thing about email marketing is there are people who use it very, very well in their marketing as entrepreneurs, and there are people who do not use it at all, or people who use it very badly. So, Mark, you said you use email pretty much on a regular basis. Tell us why you use email marketing.
I just listened to a really cool podcast with interviewing Michael Stelzner, and he's the founder of Social Media Marketing World. And what jumped out at me, it was a comment that he made when they were asking him, like, what's the best marketing that you do and what gets you the results? And as he's given the percentages, he says that, 70% of our sales for the event are coming through email marketing. So think about it. This is a social media marketing world guy, and he's saying 70% of his sales come through email. So no matter what anybody says, that's still a powerful media, and it works as people say. So that's why I do email marketing, because that's still, if you're not doing direct mail, next best thing is your email.
Right. Joe, you use email on a regular basis. I get your emails. So why do you use it, and what do you use it for?
Using it to market to some different groups of people. There's one, of course, that goes out about our podcast every week. And that's more general. But then I want to, because part of my targeting is to manufacturers and distributors, I want to come up with some emails that go out to them. So I've got a list of people in my system that are tagged as manufacturers and ones that are tagged as distributors. So I actually segment what I want to say to them. Okay. I want to make sure that I'm targeting them correctly. And, I wouldn't want to send out something about how to market your restaurant to them. Okay. So that's what you want to do with your emailing.
All right. So, Dan, you go to a networking event and you gather a bunch of cards. Do you add them to your email list and start emailing them every day?
I do not.
What's the proper way to build a list is really what I'm asking.
Well, so I like to, I have a ton of emails, and I like to segment my list. And so just one example is when I send emails out for our podcast, there's a different email that goes out to my niche that goes out to another group. And I'm not a fan of just cold emailing somebody. Okay. I have to get, for me, you have to give me your email. And the biggest way I use email is part of my multimedia approach. And so if I'm going to, there are times I put an email in there that I haven't really had a great relationship, but I'll send them informational stuff. Like I may email them my newsletter. Okay. If I've already sent the print version out, I may email them. So, but I like to use it as part of the multimedia campaign. So, for example, if I send out a mail piece, a week later, I'll send out an email that says in the subject line, "Did you get it?" And just that subject line, a lot of times I have very high open rates on that. And then in there, I refer them to, hey, last week I sent you this mail piece, blah, 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 with an extraordinary offer. Check it out. And I go back and forth with them. I have people that I go on Facebook and message them and tell them to check the email that I sent them. I have people that have to text to say, hey, I sent you this email. Did you get it? So, but email is an integral part for me. But to grow that list, when I'm getting leads, I try to get as much information as I possibly can, from phone numbers to print address. I have some things that I'll put out that I tell them I will not put this out digitally. It's too valuable. I'll mail it to you. And I get their address when they don't typically want to give me their address, because that's the only way I'm going to give them what they want, is via snail mail, because that's what I know is what's going to be valuable for me. And so I build lists in a lot of different ways, and I try to get as much information as possible. One of the things I do with clients, I have a lot of clients, some people won't give us their email address anymore. Nobody wants to give us their email address. Well, one of the things that has worked very, very well for my clients is say, listen, we often send out specials and promotions, and we only send them via email to our best clients. So if you'd like to get those, give us your email and assure them that they won't be spammed, that their email address won't be sold. That's a big thing that people worry about, that they're going to get their email sold off to a large company that's just going to spam them to death. So that's one of the things I do with clients that I work with, is give them a reason to give you the email address.
So, Steve, what are some of the reasons people would exchange an email address? Why would they give it to you? This is lead generation 101, really, but tell us some reasons why.
Well, you got to give them something valuable, something they want. Like we talked about last week, everyone's talking about here. Dan just mentioned it. You got to give them what they want. You know, the days of now, probably nobody that's watching this remembers the days of You've Got Mail, the AOL from 20-something, whatever.
I love that movie.
When I was still just old. And
that's before my time.
Well, we were all excited. Like, oh, you got mail. Wow, that's great. And I remember opting into anybody that just, all you had to say was like, get our newsletter, put in your mail. Oh, great, I'll get mail. And so those days are long gone. Nowadays, people have all kinds of ways of, I'm sure we all have multiple email accounts, faking people. I'll give them a fake, crappy email address that I never checked, this and that. So you got to give people something valuable, and a nice gimmick, a nice tactic to use is to say, like Dan just said, where do you want me to mail this to? Well, now they're going to give you a good email address. So you got to offer them something they want. You can do this with you'll see online like a quiz. Take this quiz. Now, where do you want us to email the results? Or here's a copy of, my book in a PDF format. Where do you want me to send it to? Where do you want me to send your checklist, your free gift, your this or that, something you got to figure out. You got to know, we talked about last week, know your avatar. What's their pain point? What do they want? Offer them that, because it's got to be valuable enough for them to give you their cherished email address. That's now a valuable thing, and you've got to trade something of value for it.
Yeah, and we know what's valuable and what's not, because we've been hurt too many times by giving it to the wrong people. Mike, sorry, what is tagging, and why is it important in email marketing?
So tagging is, related to marketing automation, Keep, Aweber, or whatever it is. These systems, these online systems, have ways of applying a tag. So when someone opts in, they may get a opt-in tag, or it's to a specific campaign, opted in for 2024 event it's just a way, Craig, of allowing you as the marketer, the email marketer, to categorize. So, in my business, we tag a lot, and it's like, when we send out emails, oftentimes, my whole list doesn't get it, just a segment gets it. So it's just a way of really allowing a lot of flexibility, a lot of, again, personalization. We talked about that a couple episodes ago, why that's important. So that's one of the big, beautiful benefits of marketing automation.
Yeah. Ben, talk about you're the owner of marketingfunnel.com. Talk about workflows and autoresponders, why those might be important.
Yeah, there's so much that can be done with automation to send. There are the horror stories like Joe mentioned, where people are just sort of dumping emails on there. But the way I like to approach it is if it was me having a conversation with a customer or having a conversation with a friend and they were interested in the same thing that I was talking about, I'm gonna shoot them an email. Hey, here's some more information about this thing that we were talking about, or hey, I just saw this in the news, or this is an interesting story. Like it's part of the ongoing conversation. In previous episodes, we talked about the way we get their attention is to enter the conversation that's already going on in their head, and this is a way to continue that conversation and to enter that ongoing conversation. So with automations, you can set it and forget it on some things where it's like, okay, well, someone is just entering my world, I'm going to get them the information that they requested, but I'm also going to kind of get them up to speed and have some sort of like indoctrination sequence where, every couple of days I'm going to email them some more important information, either about getting to know me or about getting to know the community, other people that have been going through the same thing, a little bit more about the product or the service and how it can help solve their problems. And you can set those things up to where there's something that starts a sequence, which is like requesting information, but then also something that ends a sequence. So maybe I'm sending you emails and I'm telling you all about this great product or service. Well, as soon as you buy something, now you're no longer a prospect. I can move you into a customer automation, which has more information now about how to use this product or service or get the most out of it, or reminders on a quarterly basis. Make sure that I've sold you some air filters, make sure you've replaced your air filter. Or if I know information about you, like when it's your birthday, I can send you automation that sends it to your birthday. So once you think about it in terms of, if you had clones of yourself and you could spend time with every individual and keep track of all of your conversations with them, what information would you be sending them at that point? Capture that and then put that into a sequence and automation that's going to do that for you. And as Mike mentioned with the tagging, you can then use in the information that you have about them to split off different sequences. And if they've come in through this way, we're going to communicate with them a little bit differently than if they came in through that way. So these are ways of scaling activities you would do otherwise if you had kind of unlimited time and resources and attention to communicate with these people, but you're doing it in more of a way that can happen while you sleep, or happen while you're spending your time on other things.
We're close enough to a break that I'm going to do it now. We're going to hear a message from our sponsor. We'll be right back, and we'll listen to Becky.
This episode of The Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever is sponsored by Dan Cricks, a.k.a. the Been There, Done That Marketing Coach, and Results Marketing. If you're looking for help growing your business and your profits, to get more information and free small business marketing and money-making info, go to www.greatresultsmarketing.com. That's www.greatresultsmarketing.com.
All right, we're back. Becky, you had your hand up.
I just wanted to, I think Ben said something that was so important, that when you start to think about what you're going to say to that perfect avatar that we figured out last week, Ben said, kind of think of every situation that you may want to talk to that person. And I always had it so confused in my head until somebody like Ben said, just write down every single situation that could happen. They bought or they wanted your lead magnet, and then they got into a drip campaign that just kept talking about that and talking about yourself. But I could never figure out, well, how do I talk to every single one of those people? So, you just write down every single situation that could occur when you talk to that person, and then you write your emails based on that situation. So because I got confused about that way back when, and somebody told me that, and Ben just kind of skimmed over it because he does it every day, all day long. So I just wanted to offer that up to people.
Hey, and before we move on, let's acknowledge like Becky had like the best giveaway ever. Is at her restaurant, she offered a free appetizer and got how many 60,000 on your email list?
63,000 unique individuals for email list. Yeah. Thanks.
Right? Yeah. Just by offering a free appetizer, you know, so now you've got these people on your list and you know that they want to eat, you know, they want the sushi, you know, they want them. So then now she's got folks to say, come in and hang out with us. So, you know, I was like the best giveaway ever.
And we tracked it, and it was a return on investment. For every dollar we spent on appetizers, we got $68 back. Hello.
Yeah. Mike, do you have something?
Yeah, and what Becky shared again, I mean, that's a very rare thing that you shared, Becky, right? You know, even in the restaurant business, even today, I'll go into a nice restaurant and they're still not doing the simple things like this. And I would venture to say, you probably did some marketing with those lists, right? Because capturing it's one thing. I had a client years ago. He came through my chapter. He was a local 5 and 10 outside Philadelphia. He had 9,000 people on his email list. He never once emailed them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would imagine in your case, Becky, you probably did something with them.
He heard the saying, the money's in the list, and he just kept waiting for it to show up.
Right.
Yeah. Where's the money, Mike? Where's the money?
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing that most business owners don't miss is they don't have their own list that they control. And Mike, you're so right. Like I rewarded those people over and over because they came in, they've already spent money with me. So let me just keep giving them goodness. But most people don't have it.
If someone's listening to this, and I still like, we all still see this today in 2024, let's say a bricks and mortar local business, if you are not giving a good reason to capture your prospects or clients, customers, whatever you call them, name and email, and then figure out a way to leverage that just in a nice, you know, authentic way, you're leaving money on the table. In my opinion.
Well, what about I'll give 10% off. I'm like, oh my God, just raise your freaking price. I was going to say the word, but I didn't want the F-bomb today. Just raise your price so that you can give a bigger discount off or give something away for free. Like, you know, I see it all the time. And then you had the nerve to buy TV ads to tell us about that funky 10% off. Like, come on, man, knock it off.
Right. So one of the that I was going to mention that is one of the biggest mistakes. That's a huge marketing asset that they have, but it's not the list itself. It's the relationship with the list. So talk about relationship emails, marketing. Becky, let's go back to you. So how did you nurture that relationship with that list once you captured those 60,000 names?
Yes. Well, I ran 6 to 14 promotions in any given month, all through email. So it started with email, and then I would also send direct response postcards. I sent out a newsletter for 72 months in a row that I did myself. So you have to do a lot of littles. And I think it worked best because my main focus was on marketing the restaurant. I had managers to manage and do other things. And it's because that's what I love. But in your business, if you're wearing, you know, the hat of the accountant, the marketer, you know, the person who has to open the door, has to close, has to do the register, whatever, it's going to be more of a challenge. So you either hire someone like us who loves it and will kind of, you know, handhold and do it for you, or you say, okay, you have a good manager or someone that you work with and you focus all on marketing because you're going to live and die by what you do and what the people that you come in, and are they spending money with you? And are you collecting more information? Are you asking for referrals? Are you asking for Google reviews? It's a lot of littles. If you're missing any of those components, you're not going to do as good. You're not going to make as much money as if you did. So it's a lot of work. I don't know how else to say it. Got to put on the big girl pants and do some work.
Do some work.
Mark, someone's saying, you know, I'm only getting a 30% open rate. What about that other 70%? What do I do about that? Should I even still do email marketing? What do you say to them?
Well, of course, you want to try to increase your open rate. So now you got to look at what's your subject line. Why aren't they opening your emails? Is it deliverability, or is it actually just, you know, how you're approaching them? And it also should just be part of a mix. I would say you still do it, but I hope you're also doing direct mail.
Marketing mix, right?
Yeah, marketing mix, absolutely. But just if you need to improve your open rates, think about what your subject lines are. Some of my favorites, actually, depending, of course, your favorite piece of advice is it depends. But when I first started engaging with folks, and you're relevant to like how you met them, I like to say things like FYI. You use as much as you can to just get them to open the thing. So FYI, or just their name, because that's like a grabber. And then sometimes it's the name with a question mark after it. And then once you've pulled all those tricks out, then you start, doing your regular messaging. But it's about just starting that conversation. So, 30%, improve it. Improve your subject lines.
Yeah, I don't know if there's 100% email rate. I've never heard of it, but one thing that I do is I will go back and send the original email with a new subheadline or a new subject line to the people who didn't open it. So after a period of time, and then I do 2 or 3 times, and that increases it by another 30 to 50% over time. And so I'll even go back another day if there's enough time for the deadline. I might go back and do it the next day as well, the same email, just to make sure they saw that one. But that's the power of sequences as well. Ben.
Yeah, I did want to mention one thing, and this goes to your point about, and to what Mark was saying. We're no longer in kind of the Wild West days of email where you can just kind of send out whatever or put people on the list for whatever reason. Any of the major internet providers that deliver email, like take Google, for example, which, like, if you look at how many people on your list have Gmail accounts, or how many like business accounts are served through Google's system, that's going to most likely be a very large portion of your list. And Google is a couple months ago implemented some big changes, and they're always trying to make sure that their customers, the people that you're trying to email, are getting emails that they want. So if they start seeing that, hey, no one's opening emails that are sent from marketingfunnel.com or whatever, it's less likely for you to get delivered. So you do need to be able to look at your lists and say, hey, if this person hasn't opened, clicked, done anything in the last, say 3 months or so, they're probably not going to. And so there is definitely a liability in just keeping those people around on your lists. So keeping a list that's clean of people who want to hear from you, who have been engaging with you, it gets even more and more important as the different email providers are acting as, they're gatekeepers for which emails are getting delivered. So if you do want to make sure you're still getting in front of those people who are your good customers, who are engaging with you, you do need to cut out the riffraff from your list and not email the people that just aren't hearing from you. Now, you can do a couple things with that. You can identify people who haven't engaged with you in maybe 3 months or so, and then trying to re-engage them a little bit. But at some point, there is the need to just cut off that dead weight. So to answer the question of how to improve a 30% open rate, sometimes it's just dropping that 20% that never open anything, and you're going to not only improve kind of the metrics and what you're looking at, but it's going to have a sort of a net positive effect. Because then Google is going to be like, oh, a lot of people are opening these emails, so let's get them into their inbox and not in the promotion folders.
Yeah, Mike, hold on, Steve. I'll come to you next. Mike, you list clean your list often. How often?
I think Ben reminded me. I don't. I just wrote a note.
What's funny is I haven't got an email from you in a while, but I remember getting emails saying, hey, I'm cleaning up my list. Would you like to still receive emails from me? That sort of thing. So how often did you used to do it, and what was the result?
Yeah, now we did. I think it was like once a year. I don't consider myself a master email marketer, with those kind of analytics, but I literally just wrote it down with that pen to do it again, because I think it's sort of a fake a fake feeling like, oh, I've got a 10,000 person email list, but if only 20 or 2,000 are opening it, So it's, and again, it's just when you do this stuff, when you do email marketing, it's just a fact of life. So yeah, not everyone's going to engage, or are, for whatever reason, a lot of, either bad emails or they just use them once and things like that. But I do think, like anything, it's really about, and again, Dan was so instrumental in helping me realize this. It's not focusing on who's not buying from you, who's saying your stuff is crap, who's saying you're emailing too much. That's not where your focus should be, right? It's always should be on the focus who find your emails helpful, your content helpful, who want more from you. And I think as humans, we tend to we want to satisfy everybody or, make everyone happy. And I think Kennedy was one of the, really instrumental in helping me realize, you can't help those people, just focus on the people you can help.
Right. Steve, you had your hand up.
Well, I love what Mike just said, and it goes along. I was going to say on top of what Ben said, the experts tell me that one way to understand and get more engagement with a list, or to get more deliverability into the inbox, or all that kind of technical stuff, is get them to respond, so that Gmail and whoever loves delivering mail to people that are having a conversation, responding. So that's one way to do it. You mentioned is to say, hey, you haven't opened the emails in a while. Do you still want them? If so, respond with X. Yes, I want them. And you get a response. But it can be as simple as just saying, hey, by the way, tell me what's the number one thing you're struggling with X, whatever problem you solve. Get responses will help that. And to what Mark was saying, I want to piggyback on that. Mark talked a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about copywriting that the job of the headline is simply to get people to read the next line, create enough curiosity to get them to read the next line. Well, the subject line of an email is the email version of the direct mail headline. The subject line has one purpose: to get them to open the email and want to read it. So my favorite tactic there is to use curiosity in the subject line. I see people, I get emails from people that they're trying to tell me the whole story in the subject line. I have no reason to click on it. But if they say things like Mark mentioned, FYI, or just Steve, ? Or did you know, ... things that create curiosity, or are you making this number one mistake in X? Oh, I got to open it up to find out what that is. Or the DJ meltdown he talked about a couple weeks ago. What's that all about? So curiosity in a subject line can help people open them, and then get people to respond, can help them to have the deliverers continue to deliver your emails to them.
That was a great. Go ahead, Mike.
Real quick, because I was just reading an article last night. To Steve's point, I mean, since I don't know what the percentage is now that people are just reading their emails on their phone.
Yeah.
But there is a whole art and science about crafting email subject lines that are mobile friendly, right? And being able to see it on your inbox, so that it even further gives you an opportunity that they open it. So make sure
structure, long paragraphs versus short paragraphs, and it's one sentence paragraphs and things like that. It's going to be easy to read on a mobile device. Absolutely. We're getting towards the end right now, so I want to go around. Steve, that was excellent advice on what you just shared. Richelle, any last advice on email marketing for our watchers and listeners?
Yeah, just make sure you do it, right? Just make sure you stay in touch. Like that's my best piece of advice.
Yeah. Dan, any advice on email marketing for our viewers?
Well, I was going to say, I think what Steve said is that subject line is critical. Okay. I get hundreds, like all of you, emails almost every day, and I zip past them until the subject line grabs me. Okay. And the other thing I would say to you, and Mike mentioned it, and I wrote it down too, we're learning as we go here. Okay. All of us who do this all the time, I'm so glad that we have people like Ben and Joe and what have you. I've taken notes from something every person in here has said. So that's the thing. You just got to, and Mike just mentioned that they have now, you got to work about your emails on mobile devices. So we're constantly learning. We're constantly being reminded. I forgot I haven't cleaned my list for a while. Thanks, Ben.
Ditto. Ben, any last advice on email marketing?
Yeah, the one thing we haven't mentioned, which may be the most important thing of all in terms of getting emails read by your customers, by your prospects, is the from line. Like, do they care that they're hearing from you? Have you spent the time to develop that relationship? Do they feel that connection with you because you've entered the conversation that's going on in their head? So, but lots of these are tips and tricks, but that goes, I think, to the core of your relationship with your customers is do they want to hear from you?
Right. And if they only hear from you once a year, then you don't really have a relationship with them, right?
Correct.
Mike, last advice on email marketing.
I don't know. Wait a minute. That's like grandparents saying happy birthday once a year. You still have a relationship with them.
Actually, I want to mastermind with Ben a little bit more, but we'll have to take that offline. But I would say look at what smart marketers are doing with email, get in on their lists and study it. It's just like the old days where getting on a direct mail list and seeing what people are mailing. There are some men and women that are doing some pretty damn good email marketing. And don't look at it as like, oh, I'm just opting into the list. Study what they're doing. I am doing this for the last week. I have been studying a marketer that we all know, like going deep and going, just trying to understand the psychology of what they're doing. So it's study what other smart people are doing.
And that person does daily emails, and he does secondary follow-up 9-word emails on a regular basis to targeted segmented lists.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about email frequency, which would be another, I think, interesting topic.
Yeah.
Like how often should you email your list? But regardless, yeah, he does do daily emails.
Amen.
More often than my grandparents with me happy birthday.
Well, again, you had a relationship when you were a child. Hopefully, you saw them at Christmas time. You have already foundation of a relationship with them.
I have a much better relationship with my email list that I email a lot more often than once a year.
Grandma and grandpa are not excluded in this. All right, Joe, last advice on email marketing for our viewers.
Just a quick thing to bring up about meeting somebody at a networking event. I just went to one. I met this person at the event. She may even have a referral for me. But I made a note of our conversation, something to stand out. And it was just that she was going to go on a vacation to Mexico. So when I sent her the email, I said, hey, have a great trip to Mexico. I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to put you on my marketing email list. And I got a response back, from her. And I had another one who was there at the meeting, and I just said, nice to meet you, da-da-da. And the same thing, I'd like to put you on my marketing email list. And he sent me back to me, yes, please do. I could use some assistance. So again, it's all about that.
Excellent. Mark, advice on email marketing.
Just like Joe and like Dan, I love me some networking events and tags. So you take those business cards and you do the old CTS, the caveman tagging system, and you write what's relevant about these people. And then what you do is after the event, you call each and every one of them up. And then you ask them if you can take them to lunch and pick their brain. I'm kidding.
I
am. But
I don't have time to be on these things.
For this piece of advice, you won't even need a pen. But what I'm saying, people are intimidated by email because they think, oh my gosh, I got to write 52 weeks of email nurture campaign. How am I going to do all this? So my suggestion is to build the plane while you're flying it. That's what I always do. I'm always thinking only 1 or 2 emails ahead, and I'm writing them as I'm sending them. And then after a year, you've got yourself 52 emails, and then you package those up as your nurture campaign. So to get your first nurture campaign going, just build it while you're flying it. And if your cadence is 1 a week, there you go, 52. It might be 2 a week.
Excellent. Becky, advice for email marketing.
Yeah, I would say I'll bounce back to what Ben and Steve said, which is getting them to respond is important now. And one of the emails I just sent out was, I usually get people to respond to attend my No BS marketing meeting.com. And this one was like, hey, I'm doing something different. Pick a number. And everybody, was opening it. And so I said, look, if you pick a number between 1 and 50, I'm going to use a random number generator to pick that number. But if you pick the right number, you're going to win a workbook I put together on having the best year ever. and people responded like crazy. So something that was just kind of totally off, not attend a meeting, not, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. But where you give them a reason to respond, they can win something, 1 out of 50. And it doesn't matter how many win. And even if they don't, I'll probably, write back and say, you didn't win the big prize, but here you want a checklist from me instead. So just getting them to respond in a kind of a fun way, I would say would be a good start for people that don't know what to write or to how to get them to respond.
Yeah, excellent advice. One of the ways that I get people to opt in if I've just met them is what Joe Polish or Dean Jackson called the super signature. And basically it says, P.S. when you're ready, here are a few different ways that I can help you. And it says 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. But, one might go to, hey, buy my book on Amazon.com with a good title. Hey, here's my free video on how to solve this thing. And again, I would word it much more carefully. But the point is there's multiple options for them to opt in or get involved with me. And that's attached to every email that goes out. So that's how I get people to opt in. And, if you haven't attracted, the other thing is, when I reach out 9-word emails, if we haven't really talked a lot about that, but it's basically looks like a personal email coming from you. It says, are you still interested in working together? Or are you still interested in improving your business or whatever it is? A more powerful, compelling reason to respond. But it's a great way to get that. What we tried to do is get engagement, right? Get people to reply to you, and then Google sees you as a engaged customer. We're past time right now, way over by 8 minutes and 27 seconds. But I want to thank everybody here on the panel for contributing. Again, a seminar in every episode. If you connected with anybody on this episode, we have a free gift for you at mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com. It's a free gift pack for all of us, all the guests on this program. We come back every Thursday, so watch for us, look for us. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this week on The Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever. New episodes are available every week on Thursdays. To receive a free gift pack from our expert panelists and get access to show notes from previous episodes, be sure to visit our website, www.mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell up in the right-hand corner to be notified of future episodes so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate you clicking the like button and leaving a comment on what big aha you got during the show. That's it for today's episode. See you next week.